Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back to Just Africa, the show where we unpack bold ideas shaping the continent's growth, from culture to business and innovation and to development. Now in this second segment, we dive into a fascinating conversation at the intersection of digital technology, architecture and education across Africa. Rapid urbanization is challenging how we design and build our cities, while education systems are racing to equip young people with skills for a digital-first future. So the question now is, how can digital tools help us reimagine African architecture and education to create a more sustainable tomorrow? So our second topic for today is expanding digital technology to advance African architecture and education for a sustainable future. Joining us to unpack this robust topic is Oyewole Aanuoluwa Abiola. He is an architect and founder, Bezalel Design Academy. So glad to have you on Just Africa today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's dive in. Africa is the youngest continent in the world. I mean, the population of youth, it's almost close to 60 to 70%. And by 2050, its cities will house more than 1 billion people. From your perspective, how urgent is it digital technology into African architecture and education today, not tomorrow?
Technology is revolutionized the design, the experience, the studio, because now the practice has evolved to a more digital-driven practice, more because of the complexity of the structures of the buildings that we have now. So these tools, they allow students and even professionals to visualize the outcome before a brick is being laid. So designs, buildings can now be tested, they can now be refined before the execution, which offers us fewer errors, smarter buildings, and a faster delivery. So technology is coming up to offer us a more efficient design process, a more efficient and optimized construction process, and even post-occupancy.
Okay, so we hear the say that technology can print a house in 24 hours now. And people are like, how? How is this possible? Because we're talking about this, we're talking about the future of Africa in architecture and in education. So how do you want us to believe this? That in 24 hours, a house can be printed?
All right, yeah, we have what we call 3D printing, and this is not for construction solely, but for us to examine potential outcome of what the development has to offer. So if we relate this to a timely project delivery, we'll be talking about the opportunities that comes with prefabrications. And this is an opportunity that only technology can provide. This prefabrication is done coherently with building information modeling. So you can get certain data, you can get sizes and dimensions of some of these building components that you need. So once you have this information, you can go ahead and interact with industry stakeholders, those at the helm of production affairs. So they go ahead and produce these things and they make them ready for assembling. So with this system, we are sure that construction delivery can be done more faster than ever before.
Before Lumide takes you on the next question, we know our African home style. It used to be bamboo, mud, and all those styles. How now? My question is it possible to design an African home with a computer, but still keep that our style, still keep our homes warm, still those things that make our African houses unique? Is it still possible to bring them all together?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's very possible. Technology should not erode traditions. Technology should not erode culture. Technology should not erode wisdom. You see, what we used to do before, they are simply wisdom. And now, if we want to do those things even more efficiently, it should be technology plus the wisdom, technology plus the tradition. We shouldn't say there's technology now, so we no longer need a window. The building is not going to function optimally. So we should integrate technology with what we used to do before. It shouldn't be that technology makes us to isolate ourselves or isolate a particular process in the built environment. Things should go on coherently, irrespective of the building material that the professionals may want to use. In fact, these materials offer more than just cost benefits. These materials ensure that the building is responsible to the environment. The construction system is responsible to the environment. Being responsible to the environment, I mean that because someone wants a mansion, it does not impact the environment in such a way that the neighbor or the next person in that environment at a mile away cannot breathe quality air. So we should look beyond these alternative building materials as just something that either reduces costs, but even look at the global picture of their responsiveness to the environment.
Thank you very much. Now, architecture is more than buildings. It shapes how people live, connect, and thrive. So, I'd like to take you up on the last question before this one that my colleague asked you. How can digital tools like artificial intelligence, 3D modeling, smart design, how can it transform the way we build African cities?
These tools allows us to now simulate. We can see what's going to be before it is. These tools offer what we can call green design because we now can integrate technology into every bit of the process. Now we can examine what are the pros, what are the cons of this particular design construction technique that we're adopting. And with this, we're sure that the end product, because at the end of the day, whatever it is that we're building will be used. And that's the whole essence of spending time, spending resources. Want to ensure that at the end of the day, it fits the specific function. So this function can be simulated. We can now examine the parameters that will be used in the construction. We can examine it against when it is built. Unlike before you get an effect of what a building would impose on the environment, that building must have been built. But now, technology allows us to see the potential impact of this building on the environment. So we have robust database to simulate. We have this same database that allows the professionals on this project to ensure that they are doing according to what fits that environment. So they have a database on geospatial analysis. They know what the environment is about, what's the air quality in this environment. They also know the characters of the building they want to build in that environment. So if they examine the parameters of the environment and also that of the building, the structure they are proposing for that environment, then they will be able to make guided decisions, informed decisions that will not harm the environment.
Thank you very much. So can technology help Africa? I mean, the future is green energy, 0% carbon emission. So can technology help Africa avoid the mistakes of Western urban sprawl and instead design cities that are greener, more inclusive, and more African in identity?
Yeah, there's something we call green design, which the United Nations says greener economy. And when we talk about greener economy, we're looking at it as something that provides improved human well-being, social equity, it reduces environmental risks, and a reduction in ecological scarcities. So if all of these things are well done throughout the design and construction process, we should be able to achieve a greener economy. We should be able to achieve a development that is sustainable, that reduces carbon footprint, it manages it, and ensures that the recurring cost is minimal. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to do something that is not sustainable cost-wise. We want to be sure that the building occupants, they can manage whatever it is that has been implemented. If a water heater has been installed, we want to ensure that the occupant has sufficient resources to maintain that water heater. And even in case of damage, to replace the water heater. And by doing that, we've achieved some certain level of sustainability.
Oh, thank you so much. I love how the future is looking right now. Like, it's beautiful, smarter houses, smarter cities, the greener environment and everything. But in planning this with technology at heart, do you see these plans including the poor? Or it is just a design, it's just a future for the rich. But you're talking about water heaters, you're talking about certain features in the new houses, in the houses built based on technology. Do you really think that the poor will be able to afford these new facilities?
Technology is for everybody. The rich alone, neither is the poor excluded from access to technology. What technology does for us in the built environment is that it ensures that even the person with the least income can live sustainably. The person can live peacefully in that environment. A technology in the built environment does not determine whether it is for the poor or for the rich. It is a system that must be adopted to ensure that even the poor can live well. Because the poor deserves quality air, just as the rich. Everybody deserves healthy environment. And that's the benefit we must look towards when it comes to technology and architecture, or technology and the built environment generally.
Yeah. One other question that when we're talking about the poor, we're also talking about those in the rural village, in the rural sector. Right now, we're talking about technology, we're talking about internet. The internet is the new classroom right now. Many children, they have access to smartphones in the cities, in the urban areas. How about the children in the village, where they do not have access to internet? Do all these, what is the plan for those in the rural sector? Because you must agree with me that there will always be a village and there will always be cities. What is the plan for the children in the village who have access to internet?
Thank you. So if we talk about the plan for people in the village, talk about every one of us. We all have a responsibility to our community. If Nigeria will be better, everybody has a role to play. We're not going to leave the poor and say, oh, because I'm privileged and that's all about it, I don't look at people behind me. All of us has a responsibility. We have to look at it as something sustainable that we have to do in our own little way. If there's a student in my environment that is engaged in a particular assignment, but this student runs out of data and cannot continue this learning process, am I ready to provide financial support or even transfer out of my own data to ensure that this student can complete his exercise? So if we look at something so mini as that, then it would help us to instill the consciousness that every one of us has a responsibility to play. And if we look at it from a bigger perspective, we would have to relate it to the government, relate it to the NGOs, to say, please, there are underserved communities and they shouldn't remain underserved. So again, we all have a responsibility and we must wake up to that responsibility. If our nation will be better, if Africa will be better, every one of us has a role to play.
Thank you very much. So do you believe that digital classrooms and e-learning can reduce inequalities, especially in rural areas?
Oh, fantastic. E-learning is something profound because it increases access to learning. Take, for instance, there's someone in a remote area or in another country who wants to learn from a scholar. Take, for instance, we have a scholar in Nigeria and someone from Kenya wants to enroll for his. Back in the days, the person would have to travel down to his locality for him or her to learn. But now, e-learning, learning management system has provided opportunity for this person to learn without having to leave the comfort of his home. So e-learning is something we must adopt. And even in our traditional classrooms, e-learning provides opportunity for continued learning. A lecturer cannot cover everything the curriculum has to offer under an hour. But e-learning provides opportunity for the lecturer, for the teacher, the tutor, to prepare the courses and upload them into that portal, such that after the traditional learning in classrooms, students can go back and log in into their own portal to continue learning. So e-learning is something fantastic that we just have to accept as a norm. It is not just about technology or whether it is accessible to all or otherwise. It's something we have to adopt.
I'm glad you agree. So, but scaling these innovations requires both money and good governance. So how can government and private investors collaborate to fund and scale digital solutions in architecture and education?
So no matter the costs, we can have that no matter the cost that comes with digital education, that comes with digital technology, it is still affordable. It's something we must see as one key step that will put us on the global map, that will increase our international competitiveness. It comes with international opportunities. So irrespective of the cost, we have to accept it as a norm, and that's where it starts. So if we accept it, we're ready to adopt it, then we'll be able to source for the project. Our government can provide resources for this. We have NGOs that can also support, in fact, capable individuals. So I don't think the issue is more on finances, but that we first have to come to say, yes, we want you. Whatever it is that we want, we would be ready to go for it, get it, and ensure that it is working.
All right, thank you very much. We love the fact that technology is taking over and it's making things much more easier. But there's also this concern when it involves children, especially in education. When I give smartphones to children, like I said earlier, children cannot have access to certain sites. You also agree with me that parents don't really take out time, or teachers, to educate their children about the disadvantages of technology. Now my question is, or this whole thing now leaves us with a question of, is technology teaching our children or our technology? Where do we stand?
Yeah, so I would say both. Because if we look at AI functions better on improved information. And who is feeding AI with this information? It's the users. So that's why I agree that technology is impacting us and we're also impacting technology. But looking at it from the aspect of, okay, how about children? Again, we would have to talk about sustainably living. If I'm building a particular app, I should think sustainably. I shouldn't include certain things that I know is hazardous to a particular demography. So parents also have that responsibility to make out time to educate their wards on what to do and what not to do. And thankfully, some of these devices allow for parental restrictions. So parents need to be sensitized on the importance of restricting certain things on the device they are giving to their children. And with this, I'm sure that we would have a well-informed, responsible children as they grow.
Okay, so I want to ask again. When it comes to technology, there are so many things that really raise concerns. Right now, we now have what we called half-baked graduates, because people no longer pay attention to the hard copies. People no longer actually carry out researches. We just type in a query, and the AI answers for us. Now, how does this still technology affect our educational system in Africa? Do you really think that the graduates we are producing right now, they are standard enough to compete with all the graduates from other continents in the world?
All right, so I would like to create a scenario to say that there's no difference between the learning style. It is just when we go to class, we have a tutor who stands before the class to lecture. And then when we adopt technology, there's also someone behind whatever information we get that provides the data that we have as results. So the onus lies on the recipient of this information. Either a student is learning through the traditional method or the person is learning digitally. What this person makes out of the information is what truly matters. So as individuals, we need to continue to sensitize people around us that, learning goes beyond la cram, la pour. You just read to store in your head and then write to pass exam. It goes beyond that. So again, however we learn, the result of learning is not a factor of the type or which technology we adopt. The result of learning is on the person learning, it's on the students. Yes, to look at it from a broader perspective, to examine curriculum, to also look at the competency of the tutor. But aside all of these things, the key factor is the student. Because whatever it is that a student learned in an institution, after graduating, learning does not stop. So continued learning is something that we all have to adopt as a norm. We just have to continue learning and learning and learning and learning and make the best use of whatever it is that we have learned.
All right, thank you very much. Africa, they say, is known for consuming a whole lot. Whatever you bring in, it's a ripe market that, foreign countries, foreign nations bring in so many things, technologies here and there, and we consume a lot. But the broader picture, what policies are urgently needed to ensure that Africa isn't just consuming imported digital tools, but actually building its own technologies?
If we're looking at policies that can help us towards sustainable technology use or investments that we can put together to ensure that we are not at the back, we are not lagging behind when it comes to digital education or digital practice, then we would have to talk about collaboration with industry experts. There are certain stakeholders that are causing the difference in what we experience. Let's look at the Industrial Revolution. These are not acts of God. There are certain individuals behind the scene that are tweaking these things, and we must collaborate with them to increase awareness, to equip tutors in our institutions so that they can also impact the student appropriately at the head. So digital awareness, we must collaborate with industry experts, and we must continue to learn. Our tutors must upskill, they must relearn. Everybody, digital technology is a norm, it has come to stay, we cannot refute it. To buttress that would be accreditation requirements. Accreditation is a particular exercise that ensures that standards are being met. Certain things are provided in an institution where a student is learning. But beyond all of these things, there must be money on ground.
All right, thank you so much. So I want to ask now, how do you see architectural education shaping Africa's cities in the next 20 years?
Fantastic. Fantastic. So the digital architectural education is producing already architects who think beyond buildings, because now there's more beyond just designing. You have to think more about the science that makes the building work. So you have to look at the contextuality of your design. I say that sustainability when it comes to architecture or design is simply design for us, build for us, and build with what we have. And at the end of this thing, we would have architecture that we will all be proud of. Our graduates, architects, they would have something we can refer to as good edifice, not just because of the aesthetics, but because of the impact on the environment.
Thank you. So finally, if Africa embraces digital technology, in education and urban design, what could the continent look like in 20 years?
The question about is architects using digital tools? Yes, architects are using digital tools. Architects are using building information modeling. Architects are using artificial intelligence to get certain parameters. Architects engage tools that could give them geospatial information, particular environments. What type of fenestration should I provide? What's the number of the fenestration? As this information is no longer on assumption, but thanks to technology for this thing. So architects are using digital tools. There's CAD, which has transformed us from manual drafting to computer-aided design. There's 3D printing and fabrication and many more.
Okay, I think the next. Okay, thank you very much, Oyewole Aanuoluwa Abiola. Thank you for your powerful insight. Thank you for coming to Just Africa today.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Yes, quite an interesting topics we've had today.
In fact,
cybersecurity, digital learning and architecture. It's quite interesting. Towards the promised land, if I may use that word.
I'll agree with you. We are actually moving. We are not where we were. We are not there yet.
Yes.
So I don't just want to assume that, okay, we are there now. No, there's still a whole lot to do. Especially the last topic we talked about now on technology, architecture and technology.
Yes.
It's high time we let the younger ones understand that architecture has grown beyond paper and pen. You don't have to, when they say architecture, days ago, I was telling someone that we were just having a conversation on to come and draw me now. I'm like, architecture has gone beyond that. So the use of computer. So I would even encourage parents, maybe during the holidays, instead of looking for another summer class where they will teach what do we teach when school resumes and all that, why don't you look for places where they do this computer teaching on how to use the 3D, how to do, there are so many things that students can actually learn, especially those ones just leaving secondary school that are waiting for results, you understand? So there is a whole lot. So we shouldn't just sit back, fold our hands and say, okay, it is the traditional method. A whole lot is going on right now, and it is to our benefit if we can key into it now, because the world is not waiting for us.
Yes.
They are moving. So if we don't move at that pace, we will be lacking behind. Whatever the government is doing, whatever individuals are doing, whatever companies are doing, private sector, or whatever it is, please always have the rural people in mind. That child in the village needs electricity. That child in the village needs internet. That child, like in one of the questions you asked, was it during the first section? I don't know. But you said, can a child in the village be able to compete with a child in the city when you place them side by side? So it's a whole lot. So whatever plan it is, I feel that, yes, it's high time we plan for those people in the village, because when we say cybersecurity, we are talking about those of us in the cities. How about them? it's important we think about them.
Vulnerable.
Yes.
All right, so digital technology is not just a tool. It's a bridge between Africa's challenges and its opportunities. If applied wisely, it can redefine our cities, it can transform our schools, it can set a foundation for us. Special thanks to all our guests for today on Just Africa. Thank you for joining us on Just Africa. Now, until next time, let's keep asking the big questions that shape Africa's tomorrow. I am Olumide Shokoya.
And I am Omevi Idolor. Thank you for joining us.